36731 is our 11th warrant, and 36754 offered by Councilman Bouvier is a road review application for Amy Marks, subject to tax map 900-354-4-51, situated in West Hampton, is accepted.
And the first was also wrong.
Yeah, the first resolution I mentioned was also being offered by Councilman Bouvier. Thank you, John, for pointing that out. All right, I'll make a motion to walk all 5 of those resolutions up.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. This will require 4 out of 5 votes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So used to raising my hand from Zoom, I no longer have to do that, which is nice. Okay. So those will be made part of the agenda. So we're going to try to get through this as quickly as we can here. All right, the next thing I'd like to do is make a motion to approve the minutes from our regular town board meeting of May 25th, 2021.
Second.
Second by Councilman Marquardt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Now a motion to approve the minutes from our special town board meeting of May 27th, 2021.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the third, special town board meeting June 3rd, 2021. Motion to approve the minutes. Second by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. All right, Madam Clerk, can I have you read the communications?
The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the New York State Department of Public Service, public notice of public statement hearings, public notice extending COVID-19 water shutoff moratorium. Town of Southampton, public hearing notice and a notice of adoption. Village of Southampton, Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, public hearing notices. Financial disclosure statement filings from the listed individuals. The New York State liquor license 30-day advance notice to local municipality for 2 new applications, both located on Tuckahoe Lane, Southampton. Letters, emails, and land use applications have been received regarding the following: change of zone, NRP Groups LLC, Quiog, CPF acquisition of Sugarloaf Hill, Shinnecock Hills, proposed amendments to Chapter 107 balloons, public water extension in North Sea, Town Law 200 improvements for Old Farm Road, Sagaponack, Zoning Board of Appeals applications for 2 locations on Shore Road, North Sea, and Millstone Road, Bridgehampton. The following bid openings took place on May 26th for vegetative disaster debris removal after declared emergency east of the canal, and on the 27th of May, RFP North Sea Landfill Community Solar Development. The following reports were filed: Hampton Bays Water District 2020 Drinking Water Quality Report dated May 2021, Land Management Groundwater Monitoring Protocol for the Bridge amended 2021, and the Town Comptroller, the May 2021 monthly financial reports. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to go to the regular portion of the agenda. So first will be public hearings, and then it's public portion, and then we'll vote. I know that there's some items that people are waiting for in the vote, which we can certainly take out of order, so you don't have to wait through the whole meeting. However, we do have to go through the 2 public hearings as noticed, and then the public portion. If you wish to be heard at those, you need to fill out a card. I haven't seen any cards yet.
Cards out there. Should I get them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So let me just sort of go through ground rules real quickly. In the public hearing, you're only speaking about what the public hearing topic is. If you're here to talk about something other than those 2 hearings, you can do so in public portion. You can talk about anything you want, including items that we'll be voting on today. If there was a public hearing on that particular item, the record may have already closed. Doesn't mean you can't say something in public portion about it. Okay, because on the acquisition with the Donick Land Trust, that closed technically at noon today. Okay, I have the cards coming in. So each speaker is afforded 3 minutes to make their comments known. The clerk will typically tell you when you're down to the last 30 seconds. We are doing something a little unusual for the 2nd time in a row. We are doing a hybrid meeting today. So it's about as accessible as it can be to the public. You can come here and join us if you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, we expect that you're wearing a mask. So I'm assuming, since nobody's wearing a mask, that everybody here is fully vaccinated. If people aren't comfortable being here at Town Hall, you can also watch this from home in the comfort of your living room with your TV, but you can also actually weigh in either public portion or in the public hearing period using Zoom technology. So you do need to, if you're watching from home and you want to speak during those times, you need to click on the raise your hand icon, which I think people are getting familiar with. All right, so we will go to the first public hearing, and I'll ask the clerk to please read the public hearing notice.
Public hearing, number 1, amending Town Code Chapter 107 entitled Balloon.
Okay, and Deputy Town Attorney Christine Scalera will introduce this.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the board. What you have before you today is just a continued public hearing on the amendments to Chapter 107 entitled Balloons, which would prohibit the sale and or distribution of balloons filled with lighter than air gas. So we're just continuing today. What you will also notice I left for each of you, there was one change from the first time that we saw this, which was just in the penalty section. We left the initial penalty that was there. It was just supposed to be the number that was changed, so that's been corrected, and you'll see that before you.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Christine before we go to the public? If you've already spoken on this hearing, this is a continuation of the hearing on lighter than air balloons. So if you've already spoken, you don't need to speak again. If you haven't, you can if you want. We'll give you 3 minutes, but it's still part of the same record. If you haven't spoken, then this is your opportunity. So this is a hearing on it's a legislation proposed by Councilman Bouvier that would prohibit the sale of helium balloons. As the public, I think, is largely aware, we've had issues, particularly with marine life, getting strangled or choking on the plastic pollution that is left behind from these balloons. And this would, though it takes a year before, if it's proved, it would go into effect, it would effectively prohibit the sale within the town boundaries, not including the villages. So the village doesn't affect the villages, but everywhere else, from Hampton Bays to downtown Bridgehampton to lots of other areas in the town. So, John, did you want to say anything before we go to the public?
No, that pretty much clears it up. I just also wanted to make a correction. I think last time that we'd spoken, we had a survey that was closed on May 11th. The votes were over 1,000. Two questions, 1,000. Well, 86.6% in favor, 13% not, and those who wanted it not to be sold, 66% in favor. So I just want to make that correction.
So that was the computer survey online, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, to the public, the first speaker I have is Dorothy Riley. It's a Dar Riley.
Grania cheated, she was supposed to be first, no fair.
Who is?
Grania,
Member number 3, so.
hey, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you all. And I just want to begin by appreciating your loving hearts that have brought you to this arena of public service. And in that arena of public service, you're looking at our greater good. And when we look at the greater good, we're looking at that which affects the health of the whole. It happens, today is World Oceans Day, but a perfect day for us to talk about these helium balloons. I have sailed from here to Bermuda out in the middle of the ocean and picked balloons out of the water. And every day I walk in the ocean and I pick balloons off the ocean. We are trashing our oceans, we're trashing our entire environments. And it shouldn't take the taxpayers and you all this long to vet this bill that's coming from the Sustainability Committee. You would rather do this more quickly, you'd rather have support from the people more quickly, and the Green Committee doesn't want to spend this much time on something like this. They need to do other things. Passing this bill right now is extremely important. I'd like you to know that when Drawdown East End, which I'm a co-founder and co-director of, hosted back before COVID began, 2020, at Southampton Arts Center, a one-day event focusing on the future and climate change. In January, we got 650 people to come. Those are your constituents that are concerned about climate and the environment. And those are the people that want you immediately to do the right thing. And yes, this is our time to be loving and caring about those businesses that are going to be affected by this. It doesn't mean that's not going to happen. And coming up more and more, there are going to be more businesses that are affected by more of these things. And yes, we still have to act in the public good, and we still have to have a conversation. How can we all support those businesses in other ways to transform into businesses that are appropriate for the future of the earth? Thank you very much.
Dorothy, actually, one quick question.
You bet.
I'm hearing other towns are now considering similar legislation. Do you know about that?
You mean specifically about
Like East Hampton or?
helium balloons?
Yes, a similar.
John's nodding yes, so I'm going to say yes.
They are.
Yes, they
All
are.
right, nobody has passed anything yet.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know that other people have passed the climate emergency resolution, which you all on the fence about, and my whole conversation today would bump over to that. We need that now, and if we had that, that would be an overarching thing that could address the climate helium balloons.
So, I'll come back on the 22nd on that latter
Okay.
subject.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Doc.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, all right, next up, I'll try to say it.
Come on.
Dieter von Lichten.
Wrong.
No. Dieter von Lichten.
Dieter von Leesten.
Lichten.
Leesten.
Anybody else want to try it? Dieter von Lichten. Pretty close. It's
Okay.
like 90%.
Thank you, town board members too.
One day I'll get it.
Yeah, you get it one day.
Okay.
Thank you for seeing us and giving us time to speak to you. Actually, when I grew up as a child, balloons were fabulous. I loved them. When I had my friends coming over for a birthday party, I had to take my breath and blow these balloons up. And after 3 of them, I got dizzy and had to sit down. That's the action. And nothing better happened when the helium balloons came. What a wonderful thing. They got there, they floated away. We put little notes on the bottom. If you get this, write back to us. I've never got it. And then started the learning process, which we've all been through. And it is what we call today the green movement. And we all see these balloons on the beaches, in the parks, in the trees. And the worst is seeing animals suffer. I don't know if any of you have ever seen an autopsy of a turtle which was killed by balloons. It's the most disgusting thing to see. How much must have that turtle suffered? Or whales. There was a whale came ashore with 50 balloons, including other things. So that alone should take everyone off these balloons. For a few seconds of fun, is it worth it to have these balloons floating away? I don't think so. Meantime, to answer the question which you asked Dar before, is there are 46 communities, municipalities and states in the US, mostly on the coastal side here, our neighboring states along the coast, who have bans on these balloons. So we are not the first ones. In many cases we are, but not in this case. And the good thing is we've talked to East Hampton, and East Hampton is joining us. They're just one step behind. They just had a work session, which was very successful, and now they're starting the law. They're copying our law for that purpose. So we will have a South Fork free of balloons, and I think that is one hell of an achievement. It is not that we have, as a sustainability committee, been trying to do something about it. It's been over 2 years now that we had this in front of you people. And I think now it's the time. Yeah, we are persistent. And kudos go to Tim Brolin, who relentlessly did the research and came out with everything for you to give the proof everywhere why the constituents are for that ban. I'm well aware of a resistance, like for any change. If you remember when we banned the plastic bags, there was an uproar. We were even threatened. You people were threatened by the industry with lawsuits, which never happened. So, and people were up in arms. The straws, the styrofoam, and all of these things. everyone said cannot be done, should not be done. Nobody talks about it anymore. And the balloons will be the same thing. In the beginning, there's an uproar, some people don't like it for all the various reasons, but for the better good, that's what it is. Therefore, I urge you to pass this law. It is high time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
By the way, I just got from Sundi a little note. So far, they received 125 letters and emails to the town board who are supporting this law to ban.
Okay, next up, I have Grania Broly.
Good afternoon. I'm Grania Brolin. I live in Watermill and I'm not my husband. I'm in favor of the legislation. Now, just as Dieter, just as most of us, I love balloons. I love celebrations. I go overboard in the area of silliness. And when I was younger, I used to love driving in the convertible with the top down. In the winter, under a blue sky, I did it all the time with my father. And with the heat blasting. But then I edged into middle age, I didn't do it anymore. And by now, life has changed. One thing of which COVID has reminded me is that whatever I choose to do affects the greater community. And there's a ripple effect, it affects the world. Plastics in the Pacific, etc. And so I've got choices, you've got a choice, and I'm in favor of legislation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Graham.
Okay. Next up is Mackie Finnerty.
Good afternoon, I'm Maggie Finnerty, Southampton Village. I'm strongly in favor of this legislation. I certainly hope you'll pass it. I won't speak any further on what they have. I also am almost daily beach walker, and throughout the summer, fall, and amazingly into the winter, you will every day. I take my little bag and I fill up with the strings and the pieces. And I really urge you to go over to the museum in Riverhead, where they have the pictures of the dying animals and the strangulations. It just want to cry. And I
At a
take my
museum
grandchildren.
or the Marine Center?
At the Marine Center in Riverhead. They do research on these things and deal with them. And they have a lot of pictures there about animals and what has happened to them. Anyway, so I won't cover, but you all know that it's killing a lot of wildlife. I was interested to see that King Cullen put in a letter, and I was the chair of the first plastic bag committee that ever passed anything here in Southampton Village. And guess who the biggest objector was? King Cullen. They were going to go out of business if they couldn't do plastic bags. Well, they didn't go out of business. And now they're trying to stop the balloon thing because it makes people happy. You don't have a right to have your happiness depend on killing another animal and polluting our beaches. That just can't be a formula that government officials can allow. It certainly is fun. Everybody's talked about that. We all love balloons. We can't have our fun at the expense of the environment. Doing things for the environment is not easy. You know, at 82 years old, I'm composting. My compost is way in the back of the property. Every day, whether it's 10 degrees or whatever, I'm carrying it back. Is that fun? Is that easy? No, but they tell us in drawdown. That's one of the most important things we individually can do. When I sort everything for the dump, that is not fun. But I do it because they tell us it's important to do for everyone else. So if King Cullen can't sell a balloon, I'm sorry, that's not a burdensome thing for them. It might be harder for smaller shops, but again, they don't have the right to make money at the expense of the environment and animals. As I think some of you know, I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania, which was all coal mining regions. And even as a little child, I wondered every day on the radio, they talk about the deaths. And I knew and lived near many of the wealthy mine owners. And I also knew the children of miners. And even as a child, it's like, This doesn't make sense to me. They're dying. All their dads and grandfathers had black lung disease, but the mine owners were rich, and they would tell us you must support coal. Well, thank heavens, it's now defunct in that whole area, and people did find other things to do. So I'm urging you to please pass this. It's a good thing to do, and I'm really encouraged that East Hampton will do it too. And hopefully be like the plastic balloons that started in Southampton Village, went to East Hampton Village, then back to Southampton Town, back to East Hampton, then to the county, then to the state.
The plastic bags.
The plastic bags. Yeah, it started in this tiny little village with 2,000 year-round people, and now it's the law of the state. So you can be leaders in this, and I think you will have that same kind of success. Somebody has to be brave and be the first, and people will see it's the right thing to do. And I know, many of you, and I know you're the right kind of people who want to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. All right, next up is Maria Holt.
Afternoon, Councilman Schneider, Supervisor Schneiderman, council people. It's nice to be back. It's sad to be back on this topic, and I think it's been well covered by the speakers before me. But to look at a picture is one thing, it doesn't really personalize it. If you want to know what it feels like, think about taking a cleaning bag or one of those plastic shopping bags and just put it across your mouth and try and take a breath in. And then try and take a second and a third and see how it gets sucked down. And that's what we're doing to the animals in the ocean. And there is no way for them to pull them out, and they're dying very painful deaths. And as humans, we should be protecting the rest of God's creatures and not destroying them. And that goes for everything on this planet. And to just say, well, we want to have fun and have balloons, yeah, balloons are fun, but it's not a necessary evil in our society. I spent a night in Hong Kong 2 or 3 years ago on something called the Night of the August Moon. And they had thousands of lit up bags in the sky. There wasn't one balloon, they were paper bags that didn't harm anything when they came down. And I'm not sure of the technology. I think John could probably describe it better than I could. But I think it was a candle that started them off to go up. And everyone had a wish written on it, and it didn't destroy the environment. And I think we have to look to other sources, and it's not okay to damage society just to make $1, and people have to come to realize that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Maria.
All right, Bonnie Doyle.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Bonnie Doyle, thank you, Dennis. First, I want to recognize the Sustainability Committee for the wonderful work that they have done for this issue and all the other issues that faces with regard to our environment, which are many, many, many. And also the town board for taking on this issue, because it is, to me, a very important one. Now that COVID is over, we're all very excited and want to go out and celebrate.
It's not over.
Right.
Well,
You're
it's
getting
not
there.
over. I take that back. You're right, it's not over.
I wish.
But you look around, you might think people think it is, but people can go outside and celebrate. And they are still bringing helium balloons and mylar balloons, all of these things that are very detrimental to our environment. And I just want to say that science tells us what we need to know about this. It does irreparable damage to the environment and to our marine environment and animals. And I know all of the detail that you've heard time and time again, because I know this is not the first public hearing, so I'm not going to belabor the point on it. I am concerned about the businesses that are affected by this, because particularly, as I said before, the smaller ones. It's difficult. It's very difficult to them. But when I'm faced with difficult decisions, the first thing that I think about is, well, what's good for the common good here? what is really going to be beneficial to most people in our community, and it's clearly not helium balloons. I stand with common sense, the common good, and science, and so I ask you to pass this bill because these are difficult choices, but that's your job. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. All right, I only have one other card, plus we have the online speakers, but and I'm not sure this person didn't indicate which hearing. So Orson Munn, is this the
Yes,
hearing you wanted to speak on?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, this is my first appearance at this board. First, I want to thank all of you for your service to the town of Southampton. My father was a trustee of the village for about 19 years, and I do understand how much you give up of your personal time to be here.
It's the same Munn as Munn's Pond?
Same as Munn Point, yeah.
Munn's Point, okay.
And Munn's Pond in, yes, I mean, that goes back way before. My family's been coming here for about 100 years, so we have a little bit of history. One of his duties as a village trustee was a beach warden, which meant he drove on the beach, and I always drove with him. So I've been on the beach driving for most of my life, which is 67 years. And during that time, I have seen our beaches evolve, and never have I seen them more evolved in terms of the trash on the beach, mostly these balloons, in the last year or two. You have an enormous insurge of population from New York City that's come out here, that's never been out here before. And so you have summertime populations basically all year round. And they're celebrating their birthdays all year round with their children as they're living out here. And so every time I go down beach from, say, Mecox to the inlet, I see about 20 balloons strewn on the beach. And I have come across an employee whose sole job it is to go down the beach and pick them up. So I go down almost every single day and I see 20 balloons and he picks them up. And the next day there's 20 balloons. So you have a real problem on your hands with trash being strewn in the form of balloons down your beach. The plastic bottles are pretty much gone. The plastic bags are pretty much gone. But now you have a problem in terms of the littering that's going on these pristine beaches with these silly helium balloons. So I think the first problem is you're desecrating, or not you are, but someone is desecrating our biggest resource, which is our ocean beaches. And the second problem is it's definitely killing 100-year-old turtles who are ingesting these things because they don't know what it is. It looks like seaweed or it looks like whatever, and they just swallow it whole. Then they die. A 100-year-old turtle just dies from some silly balloon. So it's really a no-brainer. There's no reason why we should not get rid of these things, at least start here. And I understand that maybe East Hampton hasn't done it, and maybe Nassau hasn't done it, but we should lead. We're the town of Southampton. We should lead here. The rest of the Suffolk County should take our lead. Then it should go to Nassau County, and then it should go to New Jersey or whatever. But we need to take this by the horns here and stop this thing from happening. Really, it's the time is now. It's only going to get worse. More and more people are going to come out all the time. More and more balloons strewn across our beaches, and it's a crime to see our beaches littered with this stuff. It really is. So, I again thank you for your service, and I hope you really consider this proposal, and let's get it done, and then we can talk about the next thing. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna go online. Now, if there's still some people here who didn't fill out yellow cards who want to be heard, I'll come back to the audience. And bear with us a little bit on the technology. Apparently, we're the only town doing these hybrid meetings, which I think everybody should, because I think there are still some people who are not comfortable, for whatever reason, coming into a crowd of people because of COVID. So the speaker and Charles, they're gonna have to identify themselves so we can hear.
First.
All right, and you guys in the audience probably will not be able to see the speaker, but you should be able to hear the speaker. So, Charles, who's first?
Sandra is first. Can you say your last name, Sandra?
Fiore.
Okay, Sandra Fiore. So, Sandra, you have 3 minutes to make your comments known.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to see you all again. I have testified at the last meeting on May 11th as well. I'm the owner of Hampton Balloons in the town of Southampton. I'm also a 10-year East Quogue Village resident. Of course, I am all for the environment, and we are for protecting our communities and doing our part with litter and trash like you're all concerned about. I feel that a compromise, just like Mr. Von Meester had spoken about the straws, the plastic straws, the town found a compromise and went to paper straws. What our promotion in our store and what we are trying to educate all of our clients, and we service over 4,000 people a year doing individual parties. Part of our big draw is that we use biodegradable latex, that we use multi-use Mylar balloons. They're not single use. Nothing in our store is used once and thrown away. We also have a recycling program in our store, and we do teach the consumers how to dispose of product properly. And that goes for anything. That goes for, you can testify to all the masks and disposable gloves you find in parking lots around our towns and villages. And it just goes back to a consumer issue, not a product issue. I do have a store in Southampton, about 2 years. The store sat empty for 5 years before I was granted occupancy. Unfortunately, we did lose 2 of our businesses due to the COVID. One downsized, one went out completely. And it's unfortunate in a beautiful town that we live in to drive up and down the street and through Main Street, and you see so many vacant, empty spots. I feel that a compromise instead of a ban, so it doesn't hurt small businesses. So it does promote the growth. We had a 200% growth in COVID, as well as other industries like mine around all of Long Island, because it does bring people joy, and they don't have to be for just a moment of happiness. A balloon can last, a refillable Mylar can last up to a year. When you're done with the Mylar, if you are responsible and dispose of your garbage properly, you can bring it back, you can recycle it. It can be brought into our shop and be recycled. We also have a beach cleanup program that my staff volunteers twice a year to the local communities, one in Freeport, one out here, and we do clean up the beaches. And we do find, besides some debris of balloons from cruise ships and basically people disposing of them inappropriately and not properly. We have an online petition that has over 200 signatures from town residents and people who are consumers in our space. The law as written will only hurt small business. It bans the use. It bans the sale, not the use of helium-filled balloons in our town. All that's going to do is make consumers go to Riverhead, buy them online, buy single-use inflated helium tanks at Costco and BJ's. People aren't going to stop celebrating. They're not. You all have grandchildren and children, and you don't want to disappoint anybody. And the people who live out here aren't disappointing their family members. We also have over 15 letters from local businesses, Peconic Ironworks, The Carpet Man, all of the Goldberg's Bagels franchises, 78 Foster's, Southampton Jewelry Exchange, Tortorella's came in and signed our online petition. John Tortorella was in our store ordering balloons and signed our petition. Small businesses like mine don't want to go out. We're looking for a compromise. And I implore the board and the sustainability committee to realize that if you put a weight on a balloon, it won't escape. We are all for non-intentional balloon releases. That's a law that was passed in Southampton as well as throughout New York State. We are in favor of that. We actually had a woman trying to celebrate an anniversary of a passing of a loved one who wanted to do a balloon release. When I found out that she wanted loose balloons outside, I took a step further and asked her why. She told me she was going to let them go to celebrate the passing of a loved one. I told her not only is it not permittable, it's illegal. I explained the ramifications on why she shouldn't. Once she was notified of that by myself in being a small town business and a small town resident, she changed her design decor, which was fine. My fear is that these people will call Riverhead, Shirley, Patchogue, and I don't believe any of those vendors or people who service those areas are as interested in the well-being and the environmental concerns that a 10-year town member, town resident and a 2-year store owner in our village is, like myself. And there are other small businesses, Dutch Petals, King Cullen. We educate our consumers, and education, I think, is the way. And I believe that if you pass the weight, flate, and enjoy movement, which means every helium-filled balloon has a weight on it, if it does break, it won't escape. You just have to walk over, pick it up off the weight, and again, dispose of it properly. Bring it to us. We recycle. We are a recycle center for any balloon, Mylar, or latex. You can wrap with Mylars, you can wrap a gift in it, you can wrap a weight in it, you can use it as packing material. So there are alternatives than to just have a straight out ban that again would only hurt small business. I don't believe any of the businesses in our community are looking to see another empty storefront. I don't believe it's in the best interest of our town. And I believe education and just like you came up with the paper straws, what is the objection to putting a weight on a helium-filled balloon that will never escape again? That's my question to the board. And I implore you to, I believe you were all sent letters from the people who wrote us. And if not, I'll be happy to email them to you. And we had 300 petition signatures in our online. We had 200 and we had 300 in our store of signatures on our petitions. And I'm glad to forward that as well. And that was in 1 month. Just to let you know. So I think that education is the way, and the Wait, Flate, and Joy movement is a good compromise to a problem that we're all looking to find a solution for.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Charles, are there any other online?
Lorna is next. Lorna O'Hara.
Charles, how many speakers do you have online?
It's about 6.
Okay. All right, let's get Lorna.
Hi, good afternoon. Again, I'm Lorna O'Hara. I'm with the Balloon Council. And I'd like to once again thank you for allowing us to appear before you today and testify. We really appreciate your hybrid model. I believe you're one of the first to allow that. Some are going right back to in person. So we appreciate the access. We had some good dialogue at the last meeting, and I hope to continue discussions with you and other people that have testified. I'll be brief, as I submitted my letter with some points prior to the hearing. And I'll start by reiterating some of the points Sandy made, but also our ask is for you to consider a weight compromise and just continued education. I loved the prior testimony. I mean, we're talking about balloons, we're not talking about climate change, but I appreciate the points about the love affair with balloons, which we have been educating the public on these types of issues for 30 years and would like to continue that education and bring that robust education platform to Southampton. I know Sandy is a responsible balloon retailer. She has the signage in her shop. And as you just heard her say, she educates consumers on proper use and disposal, which I think is the key here. All of our retailers operate with an eye on the environment, and to just take product away is not the solution. I appreciated the one lady's point about, the greater good and what's best for the town, but costing the town jobs. And there's also a lot of far-reaching implications. I appreciate your leadership and being first out of the box, but there are far-reaching implications as far as job and industry, trying to employ people. I'm really happy that Sandy did well, during COVID, and you should want that in your town. She filled an empty storefront, and you chose that business to fill that empty storefront. And obviously the community appreciates that business being in the storefront because she has done well since she started 2 years ago, and also wants to expand in your town. So let's make that happen, not for Sandy, but all other businesses. I also shared with you a coastal cleanup report before this hearing. I won't dive into that, but I'd appreciate you looking at that data to see that, we're not the top 12 culprits out there. And I don't want to get off topic and talk about other products. We're talking about balloons, but I would appreciate your consideration in reviewing that. Again, in closing, we're asking you to consider a weight compromise, and we agree with the Newsday's editorial and the recommendation to stick a pin in it and continue the celebrations with balloons. And again, I'd love to entertain any questions, and again, have further discussions to see where we can find common ground to not put businesses out of business, because while again, we care about the environment, we also care about people's livelihoods, and her business is not just her employees from 21 to 60-year-old. She supports a lot of delivery truck union drivers, and not just her, but other businesses in the town. So I'll just close with that, and I'm happy to continue the conversations and see if we can find common ground. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Jen Hartney, Hartnagel.
Yes.
Jen?
Hi, good afternoon, town board members. My name is Jen Hartnagel, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Group for the East End. I'm here today to lend our strong support for the amendment to Chapter 107. Time and time again, we read about and see firsthand the documented impacts these balloons are having on wildlife, from marine mammals to birds and fish species and more. You don't have to look far to find this evidence. Virtually every marine-focused organization here and nationally can attest to the dangers that balloons pose to wildlife, including the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, both authorities on these matters. It's really just not even questionable at this point in time, and I think each of you understands that and acknowledges that. We at the group have firsthand experience with balloons and the presence on the beaches, bays, and marshes during our frequent beach cleanups. You cannot walk down a beach in our area without finding a balloon or fragments of it. And unfortunately, they absolutely find their way into the environment. The other item I just wanted to address, we witnessed firsthand in Southampton with the ban on disposable bags. Public education, it's great. It only takes it so far, though, and it wasn't until legislation was adopted that measurable differences in plastic bag use appeared. So we strongly favor the ban of the sale of these specific types of balloons for these reasons. The release of the balloons and their widespread use, it's a habit of the past, unfortunately, and we know too much now about the dangers they pose to not do anything about it. We've learned very quickly and probably painlessly to live without plastic bags, and I hope that we can do the same in this circumstance. As Dieter had mentioned, the town of Southampton is not alone in considering these types of amendments. All over the U.S., municipalities and states have already adopted legislation or are moving to ban the release of balloons and even the sale of certain types, as this legislation does. Recently, Nantucket, New Shore, Rhode Island, dozens of cities in California are initiating bans on the sales of the lighter than air balloons. And again, time and time again, this town has stood as an example for other East End municipalities, and even regionally, by adopting forward-thinking environmental legislation. And we ask that you continue to serve as that model by adopting this legislation. And we'd like to thank everyone at the town and in the community who worked very hard to continue to ensure that this issue was addressed. And we thank you in advance for your support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
James is next.
Who?
James Ewing.
Yep, that's me. Hi, everybody. Thank you all for being here and for giving us a chance to comment on this. And of course, I want to thank you all for your leadership and your service to the community. I have huge admiration for each one of you, all of you. I'm James Ewing from Watermill, and I have a seat on the town sustainability committee. So obviously, I am in favor of this ban. But right off to start, I want to say that I have no doubt that we are facing a global-wide environmental emergency, which I hope the town board will soon recognize and declare. The actions of Southampton Town are watched closely, and this will at least be a call to recognize its urgency. In an emergency, if our house is on fire and time is running against us, we should be doing everything possible to put the fire out. Every effort counts. All of us are involved, including, of course, all of the local business community. Worldwide, we produce about 300 million tons of garbage every year. That's nearly the equivalent of the weight of the entire human population, 300 million tons. According to one study, the US alone dumps as much as 242 million pounds of plastic trash into the ocean every year. That's 242 million pounds of plastic trash into the ocean each year, every year, after year, after year. A 2015 paper from the Ocean Conservancy presents clear evidence that balloons are among the most dangerous types of pollution for all sea life, along with fishing gear and plastic bags. much of which ends up being swallowed by or entangling our vulnerable marine wildlife. It is estimated that 100 million marine animals, including birds, die each year from plastic waste alone. 100 million innocent dead animals every year. This should be very disturbing. This is an alarm bell for a mass extinction event, a house on fire. Now to our local effort to eliminate high-flying, lighter-than-air balloons. CHIP has extrapolated that more than 85,000 helium-filled balloons are sold every year just in the town of Southampton. Some will be thrown into the municipal waste stream, and many will be released into the air, landing in trees, on power lines, open spaces, backyards. Many, however, will float east on westerly winds and likely end up as even more ocean garbage.
30 seconds.
And again, okay, I should move on quickly. With this effort to eliminate helium-filled balloons may seem insignificant in the overwhelming scale of the global crisis and waste management problems. It serves equally as an awareness catalyst and example of responsible local stewardship. I encourage all of you, please, to support this ban. Thank you, and I'm sorry to take up so much time.
No problem. Thank you.
Ron Klausner.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron Klausner. I live in Watermill, and I am not my wife. I would just like to sorry. A day or two before the Memorial storm, I went walking on the beach at Flying Point with my son-in-law and my two granddaughters, aged 2.5 and 7 months. My 2.5-year-old was picking up shells, and we were putting them in a bucket, and we came across 3 Mylar balloons, and she says, "What's this?" So her father said, "Oh, those are balloons. Let me put them in my pocket." And she said, "Why? We're not going to save them. We don't want shells." He said, No. I want to tell you what these balloons do, how bad they are for the fish, how they die, and how the turtles, what happens with the turtles when they eat them and they die. She began to cry. She was literally, tears were flowing out of her. And she says, "I hate balloons." Now it takes a 2.5-year-old to figure that out. I don't have any more to say. Thank you.
Susan, you're next.
I'm sorry, Charles, who's next?
Susan is next. Susan McGraw.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Town Board of Southampton, Supervisor Schneiderman, and the rest of the members of the board. I'm delighted to be here today, and I think James Ewing spoke eloquently to this issue. So I'm going to just go back a little bit in 2019 and let you know that I'm an East Hampton Town trustee. And as a trustee, we are the stewards of the bottomlands of the waterways. We protect our beaches and a whole host of other things that are involved with the environment. I am also a committee member of the Suffolk County Single-Use Plastic Task Force with Councilwoman Julie Lofstad, and that is headed by Suffolk County Legislator Cara Hahn. And in 2019, the trustees voted unanimously to ban the intentional release of balloons, a first step. And from there, I took that and created Save a Fish, eliminate, what does it say at the bottom? I'm like, ban, end balloon pollution, thank you. And the picture you see behind me is latex balloons I found in the town of East Hampton. And I am a certified PADI rescue diver, so I see things under the water as well as on the landscape. And I can tell you that we are permeated with balloons, both latex and mylar. So I took this to Suffolk County Legislature. They voted unanimously to pass the legislation. And in September of 2019, I was attending the signing of Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone, Mid-Island. He signed the legislation into law. So from there, the pandemic came, and my next step was to go for the town of East Hampton a ban on helium and gas-filled latex and mylar balloons. Let me go back to latex and mylar balloons for a moment. I am a student of the climate reality with former Vice President Al Gore. I am a leader. And when I went to California for the Climate Reality Project instruction for a week, on the map to 2,200 of us was a little dot on the eastern end of Long Island. And that dot represented a town that pledged to be fossil fuel free by 2030. A long shot, yes, but we're working toward that. Mylar is the trade name for DuPont's shiny plastic balloons. They begin by fossil fuel petroleum and they become stretched plastic. We, as Mr. Ewing said, we have so much debris that it is currently in the Pacific Ocean, 2 sizes the state of Texas, nothing but plastic and debris. And what happens to our garbage? The garbage is packed up and it is sent from East Hampton town, I learned, and they don't really know where it goes because there is no facility any longer. So it goes on a barge and it goes into the ocean, and that's where our garbage goes. Every day, that's where our garbage goes. So the task force in Southampton, we've worked on the elimination of plastic utensils for restaurants, plastic bag ban, and it's only common sense that we eliminate something that kids really enjoy. And until they find out what they do, they no longer want balloons. And I will tell you, I have a package. I see Peter Topping is here. These are 38 letters of support from national and international organizations for the environment. And we also have local businesses. I always say, you know, it's easy to say profit over people. Well, it's profit over our landscapes, profit over our ocean, waterways, our harbors, our marine life, and the landscapes. We can't afford products that are deleterious to our environment. When I think back to my days living in the city, when I think 40 years, okay, all right, I totally support this, and we do have legislation that is being drafted right now in East Hampton, and currently in the in Albany, Fred Thiel, Assemblyman Fred Thiel, and Senator Palumbo, they both have the ban on intentional release of balloons. And if this is passed here, my next step is going to the state. The next place will be the villages, because we need to educate our students. And the students, by the way, I gave a presentation May 18th at the work session of East Hampton Town Board. If anybody is interested to watch that, 3 schools, the high school had over 300 and some signatures. Middle school, they also are opposed to balloons. And the Avenue School did a video, a petition, and they too,
Susan, you're out of time, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Jackie Leopold.
All right, Jackie, you're next. I'm sorry, what was the name?
Hi, my name is Jackie Leopold.
Okay.
I'm a local resident here in Sag Harbor. And like all of you, I just really support our environment, whether it's the water, nature. And I just want to say that I'm opposed to the, no, I support the amendment to ban the balloons. I'll just tell a little story. When I was 40 years old, a friend had sent, while I was out, 40 helium balloons. And I came into my home to such a wonderful sight of these balloons on the ceiling. But now I know a lot better. I know what balloons can do, how they can harm the environment. And so very, very easily, I think we can give them up. And actually, I think it's even a little bit silly that we're talking about whether or not to keep something as frivolous as balloons. Okay, if it harms the birds and it's garbage on our beaches, let's just get rid of them. And as previous speakers have said, you know, children today really care about the climate. They really care about the environment. They'll be the first to get on board. Nobody needs balloons. Let's really, you know, take care of our wildlife, our birds, our fish, our water, everything that we all love around us. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. Thanks. Charles, are there any more online?
2 more, X, and then Peter.
I'm sorry?
And
2 more?
Ann Walker and then Peter.
Okay. All right, Ann Walker is next.
Hi there. Good afternoon, Supervisor Schneiderman and members of the town board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this afternoon. My name is Ann Welker. I'm a sitting Southampton Town trustee, but I am here today as a lifelong resident of this community. I'm a 20-year member of the Eastern Long Island chapter of the Surfrider Foundation and a founding member of Southampton Village Volunteer Ocean Rescue. As Dorothy Riley so aptly put it, today is World Oceans Day, and it's very fitting that we're gathered here to discuss the possibility of banning helium balloons. If Southampton Town were to once again be a leader, they would join other coastal communities such as New Shoreham on Block Island in Rhode Island, Martha's Vineyard, as was already mentioned, Nantucket, Atlantic City, New Jersey, and long stretches of barrier island towns along the north and south coasts of Atlantic City, in addition to many European communities. As we know, balloons are one of the top items collected, both at beach cleanups and on our daily beach walks. They create damage to the environment and visual pollution. I applaud homeowners, local store owners like Mrs. Fiore of Hampton Balloons, who are looking to alternatives and looking to educate and inform our community residents. There's a great website called Balloons Below. It has a fact sheet on it that creates alternatives that offers alternatives for different ways to celebrate rather than using balloons. 2 towns, 1 fork, 1 ocean. East Hampton is right here neck and neck working towards this legislation. I implore you, town board members and supervisors, don't let them beat us. On World Ocean Day, please, please give us reason to celebrate in our coastal communities by banning helium balloons. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
And then Peter, you want to bring in Peter?
Yep, I'm here. Good afternoon, Supervisor and Town Board. And thanks for doing this hybrid format. It's great for us that are kind of all over the place. My name is Peter Topping. I am the Peconic Baykeeper. I'm also a Southampton Town resident, have been throughout my life. I also have a few young children, so I understand all the sides here. But if I have to be realistic about making a hard choice here and factoring in my own experience, both professionally and recreationally, I spend an incredible amount of time on the water. I'm on the water in our bays throughout the week. I'm on the ocean on summer weekends, and I go fishing offshore with buddies all the time. And one of the common threads of pollution that I see in all of those environments has always been balloons. So I'm just going to share a really quick story, and I share this with students that I work with all the time. When I was in high school, I was walking a stretch in North Sea Beach, and tangled up in the rack line, I found a balloon and it had a card on it. So I went up to see what it said. And it said, please congratulate these students. They took a pledge. They released released these balloons. And I go to look at the return address, and it was from Ohio. So let that sink in. This balloon was released in Ohio, found it on North Sea Beach in Southampton. When I go fishing offshore, even a few miles, most people only see what washes ashore. If you go a few miles offshore, it is absolutely littered with balloons. If you were out there last summer, it's also littered with lots of wildlife, humpback whales, loggerhead sea turtles, and different seabirds. So I know this is a hard choice to make, but in honor of World Oceans Day and what I tell the people that I work with, it's hard to solve things on the global level. It's coming from an environmental standpoint, it's always a heavy weight on my shoulders. So every day when I wake up, I say, what can I do locally? That's why I'm here today. So I'm encouraging you to think globally, act locally, and don't be afraid to step out and be a leader. I'm sure plenty will follow. So thanks for having me today.
Thank you, Peter. All right, Charles, is that it for online?
That is it.
All right, I'm going to go back to our audience here. Is there anyone who has not spoken, who wishes to be heard, who did not fill out a yellow card? Okay, I see none. Christine, was there something you wanted to say?
No, I was just going to say you can close the hearing and we can have this on resolution of adoption for your consideration at the next town board meeting.
Okay, well, the sponsor is sitting
Yeah,
beside.
that's my intent, and I did want to say something unless the board had something else to add.
Floor is yours.
I think I have a unique viewpoint of this. This is something that we've been talking about for quite a while. I know we brought it to the board before, and Supervisor, you asked for a survey. I think the survey is kind of overwhelming in favor of this. I did want to also point out that we do have a compromise in this law, and the compromise is that, as most of you who've been in Europe or live in Europe, you know that balloons are on sticks and they're filled with air, not filled with helium for the most part. Although that's my recollection some 30 years ago, maybe something's different. So we're not banning the use of balloons. We're just asking that they be filled with air, not helium, so that they stay here, and the education process is that they can be managed adequately. From my perspective, when Tip Brolin first brought this to me, I said in my head, oh my goodness, here we go with the plastic bag ban. And I thought this was going to be an uphill battle. And then I remembered something that's always been in my head. I worked as a saturation diver. I spent maybe 20, 30 years of my life underwater in one form or another. And particularly out in the Pacific Gyre, when in those days it was only about 600 miles across. It is now much bigger than that. And what I saw at 20, 30, 40 foot depths was a gyre. This is a spiraling island, semi-submerged island of different density plastics. And a lot of them were balloons. I remember them clearly because we had an instance where we had a logger, well, it was a Pacific turtle, it was, and other wildlife that were wrapped up in these and fouled in our props. And it was the first exposure to me to see this underwater. When I dove under to unfoul this boat, this prop, I'm looking straight down at all this human waste, and the data was been presented to you, the amount that it is. But the saddest part is to see these animals. And so what you see on your beaches is simply a small percentage of what we're talking about. Because, and as Peter said, offshore, this horror keeps going on, unbeknownst to us, out of sight, out of mind. But it's in my mind. And Tip woke that up in me. For that, I'll be very thankful to him for doing that. It's why I support this. I think we have put a compromise in this bill. My intent today is to close this hearing and continue public comment, and we'll have a vote on it on the 22nd.
The compromise you speak of is the 1 year delay? Is that,
well, we're 1 year delay, but it's also, we're not saying you can't sell balloons. What we're saying is you can't sell balloons that are filled with lighter than air gas. And in addition to that, the Mylar balloons that we've had a 26% increase in fires according to PSTG, and fouling in electric lines and things like that. These are all things that lead to that, to the conclusion that this is good law. And frankly, we got a great sustainability committee, and they bring these things forward with passion, depth, and data. And I can't argue the data. I certainly can't argue the passion, and I fully support this. So.
And the persistence.
Oh, totally. Well, persistence goes without saying.
okay, so you're the sponsor, you're making a motion to close the public hearing?
Close public hearing.
What about the written record?
Written record open for 10 days, I think. What am I allowed?
2 weeks.
If
2
you want
weeks?
to have it for the 22nd, I'll have it on your desks tomorrow, so you need a week before that to close the record.
Okay.
What did that mean? 2 weeks or 1 week?
One.
1 week.
All right, for 1 week, and then we'll have a
So
vote on the 22nd.
the motion is to close the hearing, but leave the written record
Record
open
over
for
for a
1
week.
week. So till next Tuesday.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're all doing the hand.
Yeah, aye.
All right. So we are going to move on to the second public hearing. I don't expect this to be nearly as long as the last. Madam
And
Clerk?
thank you all very much for coming. Appreciate it.
Cindy, would you
Sorry.
read that's okay, no, please read the
Public hearing number 2, to consider said improvements to Old Farm Road between Narrow Lane and Haynes Path, Sagaponic, pursuant to Town Law 200, and requesting acceptance of same into the town highway system.
All right, and Sean Cambridge, Assistant Town Attorney, will introduce us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Supervisor Schneiderman and members of the board. This is a continuation of a hearing. We heard from most of the neighbors when we opened the hearing. One of the concerns was Mr. Lyer is in her 90s and on a fixed income. Since our last meeting, the attorney for, I believe, all the applicants, Mr. Kremer, has contacted me. The neighbors are looking to make some kind of an arrangement, so long as Mrs. Lyer lives there, that they can work out some kind of arrangement for her share, which is a half share. What I would suggest to the board would be to adjourn this hearing one more time. Currently, the town attorney's office is working with engineering and planning to obtain and review some offers of dedication and make sure we have sufficient right-of-ways and shoulders for this roadway. So we are well into that process. We'll need some resolutions to accept dedications, and we can put that on with a resolution of adoption after what I would suggest would be the next public hearing on this.
Which is the 22nd.
Yes, Supervisor.
All right, thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Cambridge? All right, we'll go to the audience first. I don't have any cards. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on this public hearing?
Yes, I have one person, or I have a few people.
Okay, so there's nobody here in the audience who wishes to be heard, so we'll go to you, Charles. You want to, and again, this is on hearing on a Town Law 200 road improvement. So I want to make sure that the speakers are speaking on that issue and only that issue, and you want to bring them in?
Yes, Raleigh is first.
Hi to the board members, and thank you for taking a moment to hear from us. It sounds like we're looking to adjourn any decision process, but I think Jerry Kramer might have an update, but my understanding is, a group of neighbors have come to an agreement with the Julyers for covering Ms. Julyer's share while she retains title. So hopefully that will address any remaining questions in terms of feasibility. And then it sounds like there are just some legal dedications that need to happen. So just wanted to update the group on that. And I think it looks like Jerry and Tina might also have something to say.
Right, thank you. I mean, I would be interested to hear at some point the mechanism by which she would be made whole, because it will appear in that tax bill. So you've obviously figured out a way to set up some sort of fund to pay the taxes through, but I just would like to hear what that is at some point.
Maybe Jerry can speak a little bit more specifically to that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Go ahead,
Jerry, you're next.
You have to unmute yourself.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Thank you, Supervisor, and thanks for members of the town board. We recognize the potential hardship that Mrs. Julia was going to experience being a widow and living alone, and I met with her daughter, who appeared at the last hearing, and Mrs. Julia on Saturday. We're going to draft an agreement which basically says that every year when they get the assessment, we will give a check to them in the amount of their assessment, so long as title is in Mrs. Julia's name. I see that her daughter is here, and I'm under the impression that they were more than pleased with the arrangement. But we will bind ourselves, and we're going to make an arrangement where those monies are put in escrow so that they are available for Mrs. Julia at the end of the year when the assessment appears on her tax bill. If anybody else has any unique ways to solve it, we'd be more than happy to follow it, but we're just anxious to get the technicalities behind us and get our street, which looks like the roads in Afghanistan, improved at our expense.
Thank you. All right, who's next, Charles?
Tina, you're next. You have to unmute.
I'm here, thank you. I just really want to say how grateful I am to the board, to Supervisor Schneiderman, to all of our neighbors, and a big thanks to Mr. Jerry Kremer, who went above and beyond to help Mom. And she's turning 95 in 2 weeks. And I live alone and I carry a burden here and I'm not in a position to chip in. So this really was an anxiety-filled thing for us, and we certainly do not want to stand in the way of progress for that road. So a big thanks, and from Mom as well, who, if she could, she would be telling you herself. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles, is there anyone else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. And again, no one in the audience on this? All right, Sean, I can close this, right? There's no reason to leave the record open either?
If you'd like the agreement first, of course, you can keep it open, Supervisor, but you can certainly close it. I would absolutely take Mr. Kremer's word that they've drafted this. He's been in close
Yeah, we don't have a resolution to vote on this today, do we?
We don't.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're going to now move on to
Can I
public.
just say something?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, for that. On to public portion. I don't have any cards. I see there are a number of people here in the audience, so you can speak on anything that you wish, including things that are on our agenda. I see Chairman Polite is here. I see John Halsey from the Peconic Land Trust is here, and others as well. So the floor is yours. Is there anybody who wishes to be heard? Okay, I will. Charles, is there anyone at home who wishes to be heard in public portion? No hands. Tila, did you want to say anything before we go to the agenda? We're in public portion. Or did Roger want to say anything? Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so there's no hands, Charles?
No hands.
Okay, I will make a motion. Roger, you didn't want to say anything in public portion, right? You're becoming a regular here, so.
No, really, I'm just here because this is a.
Okay, you're just to watch, not to speak. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we are now to the agenda, and I'm happy to take things out of order. So, in your walk-on packet is the resolution number 2, which is the 36724. This is authorizing the acquisition of development rights of lands of Peconic Land Trust as contract vendee, Shinnecock Hills, and amends the community preservation project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include that property. I'd like to make a motion to take it out of order. This is not to approve the resolution, just to have it in front of us. So I'm making that motion.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, so now I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 36724. This is, again, authorizing the acquisition of development rights of lands of Peconic Land on rights on lands of Peconic Land Trust as contract vendee, Shinnecock Hills, and amending the community preservation project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include that property.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. So this would allow the Peconic Land Trust to acquire the fee. The town would acquire the development rights. simultaneously. This is a piece, as you know, out in Shinnecock Hills, the summit of Shinnecock Hills. It's extremely important to the Shinnecock people. It's their ancestral burial ground. There's documented burial pits there, and according to people that I know from the reservation, have said that this is the most sacred site to them, and the most important piece, and probably the single most meaningful thing that the town could do. So I am proud to move this forward and vote in favor of this. So, anyone else on the motion? This is a long time in the making, and there are clearly, some sadness in, that this area that is so sacred to the Shinnecock people, through the years, they watched development, not just here, but on other pieces as well. And we can understand that, but we probably could never feel quite the pain that must, the pain that they must feel because of that. But I think if we are able to move forward today, I think it is a significant step forward in terms of recognizing some of the harm that's been done, but also in terms of taking a small step toward cleansing a historic wound that is quite deep. So I really appreciate all the work that has been done by so many. We have people on the private side who've been donating to this. We have the Peconic Land Trust. We have Tila Troge, who has been just a strong and able advocate. We have other members of the Shinnecock Nation. We have Chairman Polite, who's here in the back, who's been stalwart in his support of returning this sacred place to the Shinnecock people. This has been a real concerted effort. I have to mention Becky Ginia, even Trevor, who made the film Conscience Point, who really brought a lot of light to some of these issues. I think it has helped shape the public consciousness and helped bring us to the point where we can move forward together. So, with that said, anyone else? I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, abstentions? It is unanimous.
John.
Okay.
Councilman Rubio.
Congratulations. Roger, thank you for your support as well.
Or at least keeping that chair.
Thank you, really. This is a very emotional moment, obviously.
Yeah, if you want to say anything,
No, it's not something for me to make speeches.
Brian wanted to.
I'm going to recognize Chairman Polite.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Snyderman, Town Board members. Standing here again today, it was not that long ago that we were standing here clapping again for the Graves Protection Act, and here we are again working with our neighbors on something that means so much to the Shinnecock people. I cannot express enough how appreciative the Shinnecock Nation is for this town board to put away some of the past friction between the Shinnecock Nation and our neighbors and come together and really do something that, again, doesn't just affect us, it affects the entire community. Our ancestors thank you, I thank you, and I just want to say that this is a good step forward, and I hope that we can continue the work in this manner because it means so much for us as 1,000-year neighbors, well, not 1,000, sorry, 382-year neighbors. We have a lot to go and we have a lot to address, but this is a huge, huge step forward, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for your support and your diligence and your hard work on this. I also want to recognize, obviously, Roger Waters, who's been a stalwart ally of ours. Thank you so much, Roger. Tila Troge, all of the tribal members, Kelly Dennis, Miss Becky Ginia, just everybody. I'm just blown away. I'm sorry. I'm actually a little emotional. It's not every day that a town board works with their local indigenous people on something so special. So kudos to you guys. Thank you so much. To Bhutanay, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. John? Sure. I'll recognize John Halsey from the Peconic Land Trust.
Wow. John Halsey, Peconic Land Trust. This acquisition is about a hill, a summit, the most sacred place to the Shinnecock people, a place where their ancestors were buried 3,000 years ago. It acknowledges for all parties involved that the land we live on here in Southampton is the ancestral land of the Shinnecock people. This acquisition also represents a possibility, a new paradigm, and the basis for greater trust between the Shinnecock people and the town of Southampton and everyone else who lives here. It is about building a new bridge to one another based on hope and mutual respect. In this instance, the Peconic Land Trust is the bridge not only between the Shinnecock people and the town of Southampton, but also with the prior owners of the property, the Napa family, who agreed to sell this property to the trust. So I hereby acknowledge and thank them. I also want to thank the town for making this possible through the purchase of the development rights easement. In particular, I want to acknowledge the role of Supervisor Schneiderman that he has played in this, as well as the entire board, town attorney Jim Burke and Lisa Combring. And of course, I want to thank the Shinnecock people, especially Tila Troge, Becky Genia, and the Grave Protection Warrior Society for their guidance and patience throughout. It is our intent to manage this land with the Shinnecock people, the ultimate stewards, as a place for their ancestors to rest in peace, as well as a place for the public to enjoy its beauty and to learn about the history and culture of the Shinnecock Nation. Projects like this don't happen without private support. In particular, I want to thank Roger Waters and Barbara Slifka for their donations toward the acquisition of this land by the trust. We have more money to raise to cover transaction costs and take proper care of this sacred place, so everyone is welcome to help in this effort. I also want to just shout out to Julie Wisnowski, who's the project manager on this, Susan Tutz, who's our real estate attorney, and Ellen Fred, who's our easement attorney. He's been working very closely with Tila and Jim. It's a nice team, and the trust can't do its work without having a good team behind us. So this is truly a momentous occasion, one built on the hope for greater trust among us all. And I thank everyone involved for being a part of it and making it happen, especially you, town board members.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
All right, we good? We can move on. Congratulations, everyone, and thank you, board, for your support on that. Okay, so anything else we should?
Thank you so much.
Well, don't all go at once.
You're welcome to stay if you have nothing better to do here. All right. There's one other I want to take out of order. This is the third walk-on. It is 36729. It's a home rule request resolution in support of Assembly Bill A4216 and Senate Bill 4024 as it relates to the enforcement by the Village of Sagaponack of interest in real property acquired for the purposes of open space and open areas.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. Who is willing to explain this? Kathleen, Jim, Lisa? Who has the background here?
We have three attorneys in three corners of the room here.
This says it's an easement that we own property within the Village of Sagaponack. They can't enforce the easement.
Correct.
Only we can, unless this happens.
Correct, yes.
Basically clarifies.
Okay.
Yes, good afternoon, town board members. The supervisor did essentially sum it up in short. Because the village of Sagaponack was incorporated in 2005, there were many agricultural easements that were signed and executed prior to that incorporation. Some of those lands now lie within the jurisdiction of the village of Sagaponack. So as much as they would like to help us enforce the terms of those easements, they cannot because they're not jurisdictionally and legally allowed to. They were not a party to this agreement. So what this legislation would do is to give them the right to help enforce the terms of that easement, notwithstanding the fact that they weren't a party to the initial acquisition.
Well, I have a question. So they have to enforce whatever previous easements that we have.
Correct. Which are, many are the agricultural easements.
So we can enforce.
Correct.
And are we not enforcing within the village?
We are, but this just makes it a heck of a lot easier. And there's a willingness on the part of the village to do so as well. They certainly are familiar with the lots within their jurisdictional boundaries, what it means for them. So it would just be a nice relationship.
Does this give them the full right, the same exact rights to enforce as us, or do they have to get our permission to enforce?
Same rights. The legislation allows them to enforce it, notwithstanding the fact that they weren't a party to the acquisition.
And that is the legislation, does that hold true for any easements within the village, or just specific to them?
If you'll give me 1 second, I would like to refer to the legislation quickly, but it is. Any interest acquired pursuant to General Municipal Law 247. So many of, any encumbrances. Does that answer your question?
I think so. So it will be for all easements, basically.
Yes, assuming that,
We hold.
yes. All of our ag easements are certainly pursuant to General Municipal Law 247.
Does the village of Sagaponack have to make any local legislation to support this enabling legislation?
It does not appear to be enabling legislation, Councilman Scavone, so this appears to, by its language, give them that authority.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I think we welcome their involvement and their participation. We've had a couple of cases where I've been in court and the village attorney isn't there, and people have been questioning their ability to even be involved in the cases. And I think it is helpful to have the village involved.
So these were these were properties that drifted into the village boundary at some point over the course of in the past? Is that what I'm?
Really by way of incorporation.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so in other words, we purchased the development rights probably before there was a Sagaponack
Correct,
village.
prior to 2005.
Right.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Thank you, Kathleen.
And Kathleen, we don't lose our ability in any way to enforce the easements as well. So if
absolutely
the
not.
village fails to enforce the easement, we still can
Correct.
enforce it.
Absolutely.
Okay. I just wanted to get that clarification.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's another partner in our enforcement.
It holds the original condition
Right.
before
Yes,
they.
yes. Whatever the, right. The easement itself does not change.
And the reason why we're taking this out of order, I suspect, is because the timeline in Albany, they need to move these bills out of committee. They can't do it without the home rule message. All right, so I made them.
Need a second.
No, I don't
was to
remember that
take
we
it
did.
out of order.
Take it out of order.
We haven't taken it. This is first just to take it out of order.
Right.
Okay,
Have we
so, all right, I
voted
made
on
a motion, I'll make a motion to take it out of order.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now it's before us, I guess I'll read it one more time, and make a motion to approve 36729, Home Rule Request Resolution in support of Assembly Bill A4216 and Senate Bill S4024, as it relates to the enforcement by the Village of Sagaponack of interest in real property acquired for the purposes of open space and open areas.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, is there anything else that needs to be taken out of order? Lisa, are there things you're waiting for? No?
Unless you wanted to do the two acquisitions, but I'm assuming those will be approved.
If I don't want to make you sit here for the next 45 or an hour waiting. So I'm happy to take those out of order.
All right, thank you. I can tell you which ones they are. It's resolution 610 and 6.
Page numbers would be great.
38, 39?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, page 5?
No, 38,
Well, that's on the short agenda.
38 and 39.
If I was gonna
The
say.
first one
35,
starts
I
on
might make
page
you wait.
34, number 610.
All right, number 610, okay, this is, it's just a notice of public hearing. Is that, you waiting for the notice of public hearing? No.
No, that's where it is. 612 is the acquisition of the Brewster House.
Okay, so 612, I'll make a motion to take 612 of 2021 out of order. It's on page 39. It amends the Town of Southampton Community Preservation Project Plan and CPF Management and Stewardship Plan to include the SSGRE Holdings LLC property, Flanders, and authorizes the acquisition.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so that's just to take it out of order.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion now to approve 612, 2021 amends. Do I have to read it again? I don't think so. But let me just tell you, it's a $400,000 acquisition. It's a water quality acquisition. And it is in the Flanders area. Could be used in the future for some planned neighborhood sewage treatment infrastructure or just general groundwater protection, but that is the plan for this property.
Second.
Is this the Brewster property?
Yes.
All right, so seconded by Councilman Bouvier. So thank you for adding that. So this is the property with the big dilapidated blue house near the area. It's sort of like a rest area. Who is tearing down the house?
CPF will be handling the demolition.
All right, so I'm just going to say it because we're not going to be able to record you. So the Community Preservation Fund, in addition to the $400,000 acquisition, correct? Will be covering the cost to demolish and remove the house. And I know that some people in the community were hoping somehow this house could be saved. It is, I believe, beyond the point of salvation here. It does need to come down, and we'll have a nice chunk of open space in that area and possibly a space that can help us address other environmental issues in the future. All right, anyone else on this?
Yeah, it's time on that one. It's been opened up. We've had some more vandalism there. It's definitely a safety concern of mine, so I think it's time it's taken care of.
So I just had to clarify that CPF is going to pay for the demolition of the property, but we're acquiring the property separately from that cost with water quality funds.
So the water quality funds aren't being used to
demolish it, right. Just wanted to make that clear for the public.
Okay, you made it clear for me too.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Okay, so we had a motion and a second. I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
One other resolution, which I forgot about, number 605, which is an appointment to CPF.
Yeah. Evelyn.
Page 27.
All right, on page 27, all right, I'll make a motion to take 605 of 2021 out of order, appoints Emily F. Strachan to Senior Environmental Analyst position in Community Preservation. Maybe it's F. Strachan? F. Strachan.
Second?
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve 605.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martell. Any discussion? Is,
This
okay,
is the water quality
Environmental analyst.
the environmental analyst, okay. All right, we had motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, Lisa?
Lisa, good luck. She sounds great. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're at the top, and we're gonna go to Resolution 578, being offered by Councilwoman Lofstad.
Town Board Resolution 2021-578, authorization for supervisor to sign application and contract to accept 2021 New York State Office of Children and Family Services funding for Southampton Town youth activities.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 579 of 2021, authorize the purchase of Exadigrid storage appliances.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2020-580, authorize the purchase of 2020 Morbark 6400X Wood Hog from Morbark LLC through the Sourcewell contract.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board- I'm
Sorry, go ahead.
Town Board Resolution 2021-581, authorized purchase of entrance lighting at Grangeville Park from Elemco Services Incorporated using independent contract.
Second. Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-582, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to authorize the supervisor to enter into a license agreement with the East End Special Players for the use of the Bridgehampton Community Center.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-583, also co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to authorize the supervisor to execute an amendment to the license agreement with the Bridgehampton Child Care and Recreation Center for temporary use of the Bridgehampton Community Center.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 584 of 2021, authorize the Parks Director to enter into interim agreements for mobile food concessions pursuant to Town Code 111-7B2 for 2021 summer season at Hot Dog Beach.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-585, authorize the purchase of motor fuels from the Omni Partners Cooperative Contract with Truman Arnold Companies.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 586 of 2021, authorize the renewal of Proofpoint through Sourcewell contract with Software House International.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 587 of 2021, recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2020-1088, Parks and Recreation Agreements for programs.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 588 of 2021, authorize the supervisor to execute the 2021 Parks and Recreation Agreements for programs.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Town Board Resolution 589 of 2021, authorize the supervisor to execute 2021 Parks and Recreation Agreements for programs.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 590, authorize the supervisor to execute agreements with vendors for performances at Good Ground Park.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Yep. Okay.
Eagle River Band.
All right, 591 of 2021, authorize the supervisors to sign a contract extension with Gentile Brengel and Lynn LLP to perform independent audits of the ambulance districts within the town of Southampton.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 592 of 2021, to declare items surplus and authorize disposal.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 593 of 2021, purchase of one 2022 Ford F-250 Super Cab XL.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 594 of 2021, the 2021 notice to bidders for mobile concession at Good Ground Park.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 2021-595, accepts donations for Southampton Town Police Department.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 596 of 2021 amends the 2021 adopted budget to authorize general fund pay-as-you-go purchase for, it's not a
It's
tub.
not a tub grinder. I was just gonna.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to amend the resolution. So we are buying what, John?
Horizontal.
A horizontal
Grinder,
grinder. All
or
right.
it's actually called a wood hog,
Well,
if you wanna.
I'd rather call it a horizontal grinder.
Grinder may not be the colloquial term.
Well,
I'm
and
pretty
is it
sure
the same model that's in there as well, John, or do we know, we need to verify that?
Well, the model is the first, it's on it's
5.
page 5 at the top. It's the 2020 Moorbark 6400. No, this isn't what caught fire. The tub grinder is what caught fire. But I think they're taking it out of this budget line for that I don't understand this. So I was gonna ask.
They don't mention anything, it's just that he's moving money, he's not
Yeah.
mentioning any sort of
I know, we have to move
I
forward.
mean, maybe
with
that
this.
general fund is entitled to tub
It's
grinder?
also, when did it go to 900? I thought it was 800,000.
Not to exceed 900,
But
but the
wasn't-
actual
Purchase
cost
price
on the
is
top of is not to exceed 838,560 on page 5.
Page 5?
Page 5 is what we just passed. That's what we're buying. And I think this is just moving
It's
funds.
just the budget.
Right.
Right, so page 5 is, okay, to authorize the purchase, and that was 838,000.
Right.
Now
But what we're not buying is a tub grinder. That's the only difference. That was my question. I actually had the
It's
question.
also in the last resolve.
So I think the only real issue then is in the title. To authorize general fund pay-as-you-go, we could say replacement for tub grinders, take the word purchase out? Is that okay, Jim?
Sure.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Just where the word purchase for tub grinder, replacement for tub grinder, pay-as-you-go replacement. It's just the title here. It's,
It's also, and like Tommy John said, in the last resolve, too, though.
And it could be the same thing. It's just-
It was the tub part that was-
authorize,
The tub grinder is what caught on fire.
yeah, for the, yeah, why don't we say replacement
Oh, I thought you
of,
said it wasn't. That-
No, the new one we're buying is not a tub grinder.
The tub is a hopper, wood goes in the hopper, it gets ground up.
But it's still.
This is a horizontal.
yeah, but it's not a,
We're feeding
is
it
that
from the side.
a
so
issue saying replacement of a tub grinder? Does
thing.
that imply that's another tub grinder, or can it be a different piece of equipment?
Well, I don't know if the
It's
fund was
replacing-
named after.
No, that,
That's not, right.
Yeah, I mean, we could also say the actual piece of equipment if you want. Authorize
Is Len here?
that you pay
Feel bad if
purchase
we just
for
name the piece of equipment.
It might be better.
2020 Moorbark 6400X Wood Hog.
All right, so Sunday, it's gonna get a little more confusing.
I would just hate to be.
Yeah, that's why I was
Restricted to that
confused the last
equipment.
time, but I
We don't
thought
want
it
that.
wasn't.
All right, so we're gonna name the piece of equipment, the 2020 Moorbark 6400X
Wood
Wood
Hog.
Hog.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6,000.
It's on page
It's on
5.
Page 5.
Hold on just a minute. You want to hold off Leonard's here if you want to.
Yeah,
wait.
maybe.
No, I don't, it's fine.
We know it.
So,
Okay, never mind, sorry. Okay.
so what we're doing, I'm making a motion to amend 596, 2021, to say, amend the 21 adopted budget, which it says, and authorize general fund pay-as-you-go, we could say purchase of 2020 Moorbark 6400X Wood Hog from Moorbark LLC.
Supervisor, the only reason I have confusion is that that may be the title of the fund that it's being used as, that's what it was created as. It was called that for tub grinder, maybe
I'm not
confusion.
worried- I'm not
with
worried
Party
about that.
Controller.
I'm not worried about that. Just for this is just the title. And then but I do think that we need to do in the last resolve clause, we also need to
Name it again.
insert the exact same language.
Okay.
Or-
I'm sorry, have we gone back to the word purchase from replacement?
Yes.
So I'm taking back
Yeah, so the
out
last
replacement to
resolved
purchase?
clause will say $900,000 for the purchase of 2020 Moorbach 6400X Wood Hog from Moorbach LLC.
And also in the first whereas,
No, in the title,
the title, and then the first whereas says tub grinder.
Yeah, but it says it caught fire.
That's
Oh, I see.
explaining what had
Okay,
happened.
I got you. Caught fire.
okay?
Okay.
So, all right, is there a second on the motion from Matt?
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, now I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay. So now we are on 597 of 2021, amends the 2021 adopted budget and authorized purchase for Windsor Heart Project.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Martell. This will get things started. We're still working with the clerk and others on some of the design elements for it. There might be some modifications. Ultimately, though, all of the costs associated with creating this tribute to Edie Windsor will be borne by the sales of the heart, which will exceed the cost to construct this. Additional funds, some will be used toward maintaining the structure, and the balance will go to the Edie Windsor Health Center at Southampton Hospital. Okay, we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. Thank you, Board. 598 of 2021 amends the 2021 adopted budget for Highway Department, including CHIPS, Pave New York, and EWR funding.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 599 of 2021 Flanders Northampton Volunteer Ambulance Company Service Award Program.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-600, co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone, selection of Topping Rayner House at West Hampton as the recipient of the 2021 Southampton Town Landmarks Maintenance Award.
Second.
Second by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 2020.
Congratulations. It's a beautiful house.
Okay, 601 of 2021, authorize the acceptance of a donation of a trail map kiosk at the Daniel and Anna Mulvihill Preserve.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved. 602 of 2021, part-time salary schedule.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 603 of 2021, accepts resignation of a heavy equipment operator in waste management.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
approve. 604, accepts retirement of Michael Lorenz, Animal Control Officer 1 in Animal Control.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved, and congratulations to Michael on his retirement. Best wishes on behalf of the town, and thank you for your service. 605, 2021.
Just taken- Did we take that out of order?
Oh, we did?
Yes.
We approved already? Thank you,
Already
John.
hired.
606, 2021, appoints Martin Collatton to Ordinance Inspector position.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 607 of 2021, appoints Xiomara Arango Medina to Assistant Recreation Leader position in Youth Bureau.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 608 of 2021 is to ratifies the last chance agreement.
Second.
Particular employee. Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 609 of 2021 is a notice of public hearing to consider authorizing the alienation and discontinuance of approximately 2.9 acres of Community Preservation Fund parkland in furtherance of the Good Ground Road extension in exchange for the encumbrance and dedication of approximately 13.28 acres of property to be used as parkland within the hamlet of Hampton Bays, town of Southampton. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. I did just get a text from Assemblyman Thiel that the bill passed both houses today.
Great.
Overwhelmingly. So, that's, certainly it would have been eligible, I think, to set the hearing either way. Let me just explain this real quick and then we'll vote on it. So, this will set up two hearings. Kathleen, maybe come forward. This will set up two public hearings, and this has to do with basically all the necessary steps to, if we want to construct Good Ground Road, we would be able to construct it in a way that reached the intersection in Hampton Bays near Macy's Panera. Where the diner currently is, this would allow then the town, if after the hearing we decide to go through this, it would put it on the ballot. The language of the ballot proposition is contained within this. And then the public would vote. If the public supported it, we would then be in a position to do the land swap. That would also with the diner, because it would no longer be parkland. So that we could shift the diner property a little bit to the east, and put them on potentially on the corner of the new road. And the idea of creating this road wasn't my idea. In fact, it really comes out of multiple planning reviews and charrettes and studies, all within the Hampton Bays community that was basically the foundation of some of the zoning there, including the recent form-based code that was passed by this board. So once again, I probably covered everything, Kathleen, but there's always something you have to add a little more here too, so.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I think just to sum up, in order to alienate this parcel and to cleanse it, to allow you to swap it, there are three things that have to happen pursuant to the Community Preservation Fund requirements. That is to say, number one, the adoption of a local law by a supermajority. That's the local law that's before you. The adoption of an act of the state legislature, which sounds like it's on its way. Just needs to be signed by the governor now. And then finally, if you do adopt this local law by a supermajority, it will be placed on the November 2nd ballot. In order to get on that November 2nd ballot, you would have to have it to the Board of Elections by August 2nd. So by having your first hearing on June 22nd, that gives you an opportunity to at least have, if not a special meeting in between that, another public hearing in July. I would recommend July 13th. That's your day meeting. And again, if you wanted to have any special meetings in between then, I would not recommend going past July 13th because we do have to allow for time to have the ballot abstract translated into Spanish and delivered to BOE again by August 2nd.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So this being on the ballot, it is just for the swap. It's not for the road.
Well, it's in furtherance of the road. Without the swap, you cannot achieve the ultimate goal of putting that road in. But I want to be clear, this is only one step towards that road. So in the first instance, you will be cleansing the CPF parcel to allow then that parcel to be swapped with the diner property. It's kind of a two-step process. This is the first step, which is allowing this to be taken off of the CPF inventory. And then as you can see from the local law, you're now going to be giving the town a replacement parcel for this parcel that you're taking off of the CPF inventory. Once that happens, assuming for the sake of this discussion, the public votes, a majority of the public votes at the November election that they're approving of this swap, then the town board still has to take a second action, which is to swap regular town property, which you would deem surplus, with the diner property. And then that would allow you to create the road. So I apologize, I don't have a map. We will have that certainly for the hearing.
I want to
I clarify something that may be part of your question. So let's say there was another way other than, in terms of the diner. Let's say we were able just to buy it outright. We still would have to do this alienation of the land next door because the road itself, as proposed, would be going through the back portion, right? It goes sort of up and
Correct.
around.
Right.
The back portion, because the property next door, there were CPF funds used, even though the intention clearly was only the front portion of it was going to be CPF. So therefore, that road as was proposed wasn't going through the CPF portion of it. Because the land wasn't subdivided, the whole parcel has to be cleansed. So if we don't do the alienation of that piece, then even if we were to purchase the diner property a different way, we still couldn't build the road. So it is, am I saying that correctly?
I believe so, yes, yeah.
We would still have to go back to Albany to alienate the back portion of it, which,
Yes.
I guess what I'm asking is kind of opposite, though, that we can do this, but we are not beholding to construct the road.
no, absolutely, yeah.
Correct.
We could never build the road, that's true. But the piece that's sort of next to Friendly's, between the diner and Friendly's, if this goes through and gets voted on, would no longer be, any of it would be, none of it would be considered parkland anymore. We would have acquired another piece in Hampton Bays, a 13-acre piece, that would be parkland. And in full disclosure, I mean, that's something CPF is looking to acquire anyway, but we have to satisfy Albany, have to have a future acquisition that will satisfy their requirements. And we are creating parkland virtually every day, as you know. You know, other towns maybe don't enjoy the amount of parkland that Southampton does. But it's a legal requirement for Albany that when you're alienating a piece of parkland, you must be typically creating an equal or greater size piece, or creating some funding. There's different ways that they'll do it sometimes. But, yeah, that's really an Albany requirement. All right, any other questions? All right, now this vote, Kathleen, requires 3. not
Correct.
5, not 4.
Correct, just 3 to set the hearing.
But to put it on the ballot,
4,
we'll take 4.
yes.
Okay. This just said, this allows the public then to comment. All right. So there was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you, Kathleen, for that. And sorry to take so much time. I just want to make sure that not just the board, but the public is fully aware of why we're doing what we're doing there. And I have, you know, I just want to thank Fred Thiel, too, and Senator Palumbo for working with the town on that, and moving those bills forward. You know, they're not taking positions whether it's the right thing to do. They're just really just to allow the town to decide its own destiny in terms of that road. All right. Resolution 610 of 2021 is a notice of public hearing on the acquisition of lands of Catcove Group, Inc. and Riverside Catwalk LLC, Riverside, and amends the CPF management plan to include the property.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. This just is setting the hearing. The hearing date would be July 13th at 1 p.m. This is, I believe it's a $2 million purchase. I think that was the negotiated price. And this would allow us potentially to expand the park, the Riverside Maritime Park. All right, there's a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Town Board Resolution 2021-611, notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code, Section 330-109, fences, walls, accessory driveway structures, and clotheslines as it relates to the height of walls and slope of the grade immediately in front of the walls.
Second.
Second, just hold on, just 1 second. I'm just reviewing the notice of public hearing. Jim, does it have to state the price?
Typically, well,
Typically.
we have it on the authorization resolution, and we'll talk, and.
Don't we typically, though, put it when we do the
Yeah, I've
public
seen it
hearings?
before. I think I have seen it before, whether.
We do put it on the authorizing resolution, maybe not on the public hearing notice?
Yeah. I mean, Lisa will certainly mention it at the hearing. But
I'm just reading this, Mr. Supervisor, and all that language about having to call that number during business hours, that was all, the remote access language that we don't need that anymore. About calling 631-702-1777, those two bullets.
All right, so let's just rewind for a second. So Jim, it's okay to not include the price. I think you're right. I think on the authorizing resolution, obviously, we need to have it.
Definitely on the authorization.
All right, but can we strike some of the extra language here? Because it's,
Yeah, you want to.
are we gonna still allow people to come in through Zoom?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes. So I would just, after it says, take further notice that the public will have an opportunity to see and hear the meeting live, either Channel 22 on the town clerk's meeting portal. I would just add via Zoom or in person, and then take the rest of that out.
Yeah, so to attend in person, you do not need to do all of that. And it also said board room capacity is currently limited to 10, so we need to take all that out. All right, so I'm going to make we've already voted on it.
No, we have a motion and a second.
No, we actually moved on to the next resolution.
Yep.
We didn't.
So,
have a vote.
Jim, what's the procedure? Do I need to
We don't have
recall
a
it
vote.
and amend it, or do we?
You don't have a vote, right, Sunday?
I don't.
It's not technically done until the meeting closes, so.
You don't have a vote.
Sandy says she doesn't have a vote.
I read the next one, so.
Okay, so if you didn't, that's good, Sunday, so. All right, I'm gonna withdraw my motion to approve, and I'll make a motion to amend. This is on 2021-610.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking,
Right.
I'm stand
Me too.
corrected, I was looking at Julie's resolution.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie.
But it's still, the meeting
Which
hasn't
also has
closed,
phone
we
number
can,
information.
Yes,
Right.
which also has the phone number information as well.
Actually, it's Scribner's.
I'm gonna make a motion to reconsider, which is technically a thing, 6/10/2021. So do we have a second on the reconsidering motion?
Second.
All right, second by Councilman Martell, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
All right, now, I'd like to make a motion to amend 6/10/2021 to strike all the language that follows, let's say, coming
Or anything in person.
I would just say, after in person, and just,
yeah, take out where it starts, says, where it says, however, due to, or the public will have the opportunity to see and hear the meeting live via channel, either, or in person, period.
Via
Right?
Zoom
Via Zoom.
or in person.
or in person, yeah, add via Zoom.
Where,
Right
After
before or-
meeting portal.
oh, after town clerk's meeting portal, comma, via Zoom, comma, or in person. And then everything else comes out, except for by order of the town board.
Correct.
So the next place we're going to is by the order of, okay, so this is all good.
Sunday, did you get that?
I believe I do.
You're gonna have to do it for the next
And we're gonna
one,
do it
too.
on Julie's next
Yep,
one
I
as
got
well.
it.
Okay, so, I'm making a motion to amend. Was there a second? Second by Council Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And now make a motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Second by Council Martell, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, now, Julie, we're gonna need to make a motion there to amend to.
Yep.
No?
So you want me to read it again?
And
Well, you're gonna amend it.
So,
Yes.
let's start out by making a motion to amend 611.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution 611 and take further notice after portal, add via Zoom or in-person period stays, and everything after that comes out until summary of proposed law.
Okay, did you get that, Cindy?
I'm going to mirror what we just talked about.
Mirroring what we did, there's a little more language at the end there, but, all right, so I'll second the motion to amend, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and now Julie, you want to make why don't you read it, and then we'll make a motion to approve.
Town Board Resolution 2021-611, notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code 330-109, fences, walls, accessories, driveway structures, and clotheslines as it relates to the height of walls and slope of the grade immediately in front of the walls.
Second.
Second, can you just tell me what this does?
It's that retaining wall thing that we were doing. We will be having a work session before this public hearing.
Okay.
I'm not sure
So
when,
this is
if
sort of-
Katie has talked to you.
24.
Okay.
This sort of keeps those giant walls from the property lines?
Yes.
Right, and
Yes.
Do with the,
This-
ties
I
up the
haven't-
IA systems probably?
Yes.
well, yes.
The regular
that's-
properties.
We'll have a work session on that.
Yep. June 24th.
Have you been
Janice
working
says.
with the building department on this?
Katie brought it to me last week, and they think that they have it solved, but I said, let's have a work session before we have a public hearing.
No, I would appreciate
Yes.
that.
No, and also been talking about it, I don't think I've talked with you, with Janice about it as well, to make sure that we don't have that interference with the county requirements on the IAs, we have to make sure.
All right, so there's a motion, and was there a second to approve as amended?
Yes.
By Councilman Scavone. All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved, and yeah, we'll have a work session. That hearing, July 13th, so it has to be before July 13th.
June 24th, says Ms.
24th.
Wilson.
Beautiful.
It's the Thursday after the 22nd.
All right, 6/12 of 2021 amends the Town of Southampton Community. Oh, thank you. I didn't mark it. All right, on to the walk-ons. I have an extra set if anybody needs. Everybody have them? All right, 36720 is yours, John. You want to read it?
36720 is award and authorize the supervisor to sign a contract for acceptance of the Town of Southampton North Sea landfill leachate wastewater with Clear Flow Technologies Incorporated.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, the next one, 36724, we already took care of. 36729, we also already took care of. So we're at 36731. This is warrant number 11. It's also capital 11, CPF number 11, and payroll liability.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. And John, you've got the last.
Reso number 36754, road review application for Amy Mard, Suffolk County tax map as indicated. Situated West Hampton is accepted.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Martell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. That gets us to the end of our agenda. Any other business? Okay, I just want to say one thank you. You know, these hybrid meetings are working out. I don't see doing this forever. It is certainly making it easier for people to weigh in. I noticed at least one person from East Hampton and one person from probably might not even be New York State. It makes it a lot easier than driving here. But at some point, as COVID continues to go down, I don't think we'll continue this for the near future. We'll do it, but it could make our meetings extremely challenging in the future if people from all over the world are commenting potentially on local business. It's understood, but typically they would have to show up, to be heard. So works at the moment, but thank you. I wanted to thank Charles for coordinating that. The one thing, Charles, is maybe if there's a way so that the audience can also see the speaker through another screen, maybe where that doesn't have to have sound on it. But,
We'll make it happen.
Yeah. I think that would be helpful. So, all right.
That's my command.
It's like odds.
Man behind the curtain.
Can we all make wishes?
Man behind the curtain. Thank you. I don't think any other town, at least not that I'm aware of, is doing this. So once again, Southampton is on the leading edge here. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.